This is an FDOT webinar-based course for the introduction of the principles used to develop a payment type selection report. This training was developed to provide information and guidance for new pavement design engineers on the requirements needed for preparing a pavement type selection report. This course provides the sufficient information so that the necessary data can be developed and proper engineering principles applied to develop a pavement type selection report, PTSR. This course was developed to gain an understanding of the process to follow for developing, analyzing, and computations necessary for documenting a new PTSR. Learn the AASHTO 93, Appendix B guidelines used for selection of payment type. Learn when it is appropriate to develop a payment type selection report and what are the exceptions that do not require one. Here's the course outline. We are following the Payment Type Selection Manual, PTSM, layout for content. We will start out with just some introduction of the process for the report, some general terms, and coordination. This information is mostly addressed in chapters 1 and 2 of the manual. Module 2 will then cover AASHTO Payment Type Selection Guidelines from Appendix B of the AASHTO Guide for Design of Payment Structures. It will discuss all of the principal factors and secondary factors to evaluate when preparing a payment type selection report. This information is outlined in Chapter 3 of the Payment Type Selection Manual. Module 3 focuses on the payment selection process guidance, where payment design types are analyzed for costs, including their rehabilitation strategies that are compared. All that information is addressed in Chapter 4 of the manual. And lastly, Module 4 will discuss what needs to be included in your payment type selection report and the quality control process that is required, which is generally found in Appendix A of the manual. So let's begin Module 1. In this module, we will discuss the general principles of payment type selection, and then we will go over some terms, definitions, and coordination. The payment management site showed here includes links to the payment manuals under publications and other payment-related topics. You will also find the contact information for central office that you can reach out to and ask anything with regards to the payment manuals and the process for putting together a payment type selection report. Let's look at some of the reference materials available. These are the main documents you'll probably use during the payment type selection process. We have already shown you the flexible and rigid payment design manuals in previous trainings. Here we are introducing the FDOT Payment Type Selection Manual, PTSM, and the link that you can use to download the latest and previous versions as well. Also shown here is the American Association of State Highway and Transportation Officials, AASHTO, Guide for the Design of Payment Structures. This is the 1993 manual. Appendix B covers the payment type selection. So Chapter 3 of the Florida Payment Type Selection Manual follows the guidance provided in the 1993 AASHTO manual. Some other resources that are very useful for preparing a life cycle cost analysis, LCCA, can be found on the Federal Highway Administration site. Some of the manuals include the 1998 LCCA and supplements that came out in 2015. There's also a Real Cost User Manual for Life Cycle Cost Analysis, May 2004, and you can see the link above. This is the USDOT Federal Highway Administration website that has good information, manuals, software, and training on life cycle cost analysis, LCCA, and using the real cost software. These guidelines were used to develop the Florida Excel form that is now being used to prepare the LCCA cost analysis that is being used on payment type selection reports, and we will cover later in Module 3 of this training. The link to this site is provided here on the bottom part of the slide for your use. General information on the policy, candidate projects, exceptions, reports, and reviews will be addressed throughout this module. The payment engineer does not have an absolute method for determining the type of payment to be used for a given set of conditions. There is no exact science for this process. However, the selection of the payment type should be an integral part of any payment management program. As a policy, the department has adopted the AASHTO Payment Type Selection Guidelines, published as Appendix B of the 1993 AASHTO Guide for the Payment Design of Payment Structures, as shown in the previous slides. The candidate projects to use this procedure and develop an analysis for payment type selections are new construction projects and reconstruction projects greater than 1 mile in length, where work includes a modification to the base materials. So what are those exceptions? Where a lane is to be tied to an existing roadway and the same payment type is to be used. In these cases, a payment memo to the file documenting the decision will be satisfactory and will serve as the analysis report. Also, any projects less than a mile will not require a payment type selection report to be conducted. Some other exceptions. By Executive Committee decision on June 18, 2003, all new and reconstructed wait stations, rest areas, and welcome stations are to use concrete pavement for both access to internal traffic flow and parking within the facility. So a pavement type selection report is not required. So if you do have to prepare a PTSR, all reports will be developed using payment design based on AASHTO or other established design methods. The individual project payment type selection decisions will be made by the district design engineer or as otherwise assigned by the district secretary. Decisions can be based on the project-specific report. Reviews of PTSR where concrete pavement has been selected due to the need for longer initial service life or due to slow turning movement of heavy trucks on routes with high risk of rutting and shoving shall be sent to central office for quality assurance reviews. For projects where the PTSR has been on file for over 3 years, the payment type selection decision will again be reviewed by the design office at the time the payment is to be designed to determine if any overriding factors such as unit costs or payment technologies have changed sufficiently to warrant reconsideration. A letter to the project design file documenting this review is adequate. Here's an example, Causeway Boulevard and US 41 in Tampa. This one was an asphalt road that had extensive deterioration of the pavement due to the heavy trucks coming from the Port of Tampa. As you can see in the middle picture, you can see the shoving of the asphalt when trucks would come to a stop at the signal. In the bottom picture, you can see the reconstructed concrete intersection to address those issues. That was very closely coordinated with central office. Here are some glossary of terms mentioned in the payment type selection manual. Analysis period. The period of time for which the economic analysis is to be made ordinarily will include at least one rehabilitation activity. Flexible payments. A payment structure which maintains intimate contact with and distributes loads to the subgrade and depends on aggregate interlock, particle friction, and cohesion for stability. Rigid pavements. A pavement structure which distributes loads to the subgrade, having as one course of Portland cement concrete slab of relatively high bending resistance. Pavement rehabilitation. Work undertaken to extend the service life of an existing facility. This includes placement of additional surfacing material and/or other work necessary to return an existing roadway, including shoulders, to a condition of structural or functional adequacy. This could include complete removal and replacement of the pavement structure. Milling is the controlled removal of the existing asphalt pavement by using a rotating drum with teeth which removes the existing material to the desired depth. Concrete pavement rehabilitation, CPR, includes partial slab, full slab, and multiple slab replacements to replace shattered and/or severely broken slabs. After the deteriorated slabs are replaced, then the slabs are diamond grinded to restore faulted pavement and improve ride. Once the grinding is done, then the slabs are cleaned and sealed to avoid intrusion of water into the base and keep incompressible material out of the joints. This concludes Module 1, Introduction, Terms, Definitions, and Coordination. You're now ready to proceed to Module 2.